Hello, everybody, and good evening, and welcome to another Teacher's Talk session tonight. And tonight we have really another special guest, just like the other guests. Uh, his name is Roger Cohen, and he is a regional English language officer from US Embassy, Ankara. So when he comes, we are going to start our live session, and so I'm just waiting for him to join the session. Let me look. Yes, and it's going to be a really interesting and very educational session tonight, and I hope you are going to enjoy this session with Roger Cohen and me, of course. Like every week. Okay, so hello.
Oh, hello
Good evening.
there.
It's good to see you. Welcome to Teachers Talk live session.
Oh, I see you're a very knowledgeable person because you have a big stack of books behind you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if I time, I try to read them
Oh,
time to time.
fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite?
yeah. I can't say this book is
Hmm.
my favorite because there are lots of, and I'm trying to read lots of them. But I can't say that. Let me
Hmm.
show. This one I can say is one of my favorite one. This one,
What
the
is it?
practice of English
Oh,
language
I
from Jerry
know that
Farmer.
book. I have read that book, and
Yeah,
I have seen him speak actually.
yeah.
And
I
that is a fantastic book. And I think actually some years ago, I actually used that book in a methodology course. That's a very nice
yeah,
one.
really. I had the only chance to meet him. Sorry,
Hmm.
met him in Manchester.
Oh,
When I was
really?
in when I was in ITFL in
Hmm.
Manchester 2015, I had a chance to listen to him, and this book, by the way, from Manchester, from
Oh, really?
ITFL. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and
That's a
yeah,
well-traveled
and
book.
excellent. And he has his signature is also here.
Oh,
It
all
was a really
right.
you know important book for me among the
Fantastic.
old books. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
wow, wow. What did you think of Manchester?
Manchester is really, it's really interesting, and there are lots of places to visit over
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
And I really like the place we been over there for the ITFL. It was huge, really.
Oh,
It was
really?
huge place. Yes, I can't remember the name of the place. It's really really big a place that where they organized the ITFL.
Hmm.
So it's like Manchester Hall or something like that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And there are lots of
fantastic.
historical buildings and lots of other things over there. But of
That
course,
sounds great.
I like London more than the
Oh,
Manchester.
really? I was in
Yeah.
London many years ago and I lived there for several months. I, of course, had a fantastic time, but the city is just so enormous.
Yeah.
It almost dwarfs you because it's so huge. But as they
Yes.
say, you know that famous saying, when you're tired of London, you're tired of life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yes.
Oh,
What were you doing in England besides IA TEFL?
what I was doing, I was just I went to England for that IATFL and
Okay,
just
and you also
for
went to
five
London.
days.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I was there for 5 days, and only visited. I was at Cambridge, by the way,
Oh,
Cambridge
wow.
University Press building. Yeah, we
Oh,
visited.
cool.
Yeah, it
Cool.
was really fantastic, and also I had the chance to see lots of the universities over there, actually colleges. Yeah,
Hmm.
colleges over there. Yeah, it
Cool.
was really old, and also I had a chance also to see there was a I think the British Museum. I had a chance to see the British.
That's amazing. That's
That's
amazing.
yeah, I was impressed. I was impressed.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that was
great.
one of the biggest museum that I have been ever before over there.
Yes, me too. It's huge. It's you can see
Really huge.
you can see the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, you are
Yeah.
right. It was fantastic, and I really love the historical stuff over there. Really,
Yes.
really interesting. And my best part was with the Egyptian part, with the
Yes.
stuff. Yeah,
That's
they were
right. That's right.
all the mummies and other things. They were really amazing.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Is it okay? We had a chance to talk a little bit. Can
Oh
we
yeah,
start?
oh, I thought that was the end of the interview. I thought we were finished.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. Not a problem. No, we can stop it. Yeah.
Okay. No, please go
No
ahead. Please go
problem.
ahead.
Okay. But firstly, I would like to say thank you that you accepted my invitation and joined this teacher talk sessions.
Well,
And
I'd like to say thank you. That's a real honor. I think this is a fantastic idea. This is a great idea and a great concept for a
uh-huh.
show. And I'm honored that you would like to interview me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so happy to see you here. And okay, Roger, let's start. Like, can you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Hmm. That would be an extremely long story, and I'm a very humble person, so I don't know where to start.
Okay. And
Let's see. I'm origin. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
by the way, today is the 5th of October, and it's the World Teachers Day. And so
Yes.
I would like to say to happy teachers to all teachers around the world, and I hope
Yes.
they have a nice day today.
Yes. How should we celebrate? Maybe we should teach something.
I don't know, maybe. Maybe I'm just sitting here, and as you like, I have a coffee here.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll learn something from each other this
Yeah,
evening, and
sure.
that's how we'll honor World Teachers Day.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
that we are going. I will learn lots of things from you in this
Oh,
session and others also.
I don't know about that, but we'll just see what happens.
Okay, we'll
Yes.
see. Okay, Roger. Yeah, we are with you now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. It's hard to encapsulate my life and to talk about it. As I said, I'm usually shy and humble, and if you look at my hair, it's becoming exceedingly white. I remember when it used to be brown not so long ago. Let's see, as you have probably figured out from my accent, I'm from the United States.
Yes.
And I grew up in the most beautiful city in the United States, which is Seattle, Washington.
Oh,
And
yes.
yes, I left Seattle to go to college when I was 18. And in the United States, I lived in Vermont. I went to graduate school, to get my master's
Mhm.
degree in teaching in Vermont. I also lived in the great state of Texas for 7 years.
Wow.
And let's see, I arrived in Ankara about 2 months ago. I'm now the regional English language officer at the U.S.
Yeah.
Embassy. And yeah, okay, great. I just
O-
summed up my life, all my
Okay.
years in 2 minutes. Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
Great.
Wonderful.
Great.
So,
Yes.
what about? Can you tell us about your experience in teaching?
Oh, let's see. So I started in the Peace Corps. Are you familiar with the Peace Corps?
Peace Corps. Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah. So the Peace Corps actually used to be in Turkey in the late 60s and I believe the early 70s. So the Peace Corps is a United States government agency, and it
Mm-hmm.
was started by the great President John F. Kennedy. Remember
Yeah.
when he said, "Ask not what you can do for what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country."
Yeah,
So
you're right.
yes, under his administration, the Peace Corps started, and the Peace Corps sends thousands of volunteers in all different sorts of fields around the world every year. In agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
education, training, and one of the biggest is teaching English as a foreign language. So after I graduated college, I went to Mongolia, and I lived in a
Wow.
small town close to the edge of the Gobi Desert, and I taught for 2 years. And I loved it so much that I went back to the States and got my master's degree, and then I
Mm-hmm.
went back to Mongolia.
Again.
And yes, and then I was something called an English language fellow. So the State Department, the American Foreign Ministry,
Mm-hmm.
basically, has a program called the English Language Fellow Program. And this sends professional English teachers all over the world,
The world.
about 180 per year. And I went back to Mongolia, and I did teacher training, and I taught. I did curriculum design and all sorts of fun stuff. Let's see, and after that, I'm making a fast summary for you here. So then I moved to Guam. Have you heard of the island of Guam before?
No,
This is a
Guam.
this is a territory of the United States, so it's not a state. It's a territory like Puerto Rico.
Uh-huh.
It's in the South Pacific. It's close to the Philippines. So my parents and I moved there when I was a kid. So
Uh-huh.
I decided to go back, and I joined the faculty at the University of Guam for several
Yes.
years. And then my wife and I moved to the great state of Texas, and
Yes. Again.
I worked at the Defense Language Institute, English Language Center. This is where foreign military personnel learn English in the United
Oh.
States.
Mm.
So I worked there, and then after that, I joined the United States Foreign Service. So I took a test, and I went through the oral assessment in Washington, D.C., and now I am
Wow.
something called a RELO, a Regional English Language
Rich
Officer.
officer.
It's a very long job title, and I work at the embassy
Very
in
cool
Ankara.
title,
Yes, it is. It is a very cool title. I enjoy it, and this is my second tour in the Foreign
Yeah.
Service. My first tour was in Amman, Jordan.
Jordan. Oh.
Yes, which was fantastic. And now I am so delighted to be here.
Wow, it's good. I'm sure you are going. You will love it. Yeah, you will love it.
I already love it.
Oh, wonderful. It's
Yes,
great to hear this. It's great to hear
yes,
this.
yes,
Okay, wonderful experience about teaching, Roger. Wonderful.
yes.
And I think if I let you, you can speak all day night long. But I
Oh,
think about
probably. I don't know who would listen, but yes, I could probably talk a very long time. I don't know how interesting it would be, but
oh, like okay,
I always love to talk about teaching. I absolutely love
yeah,
talking
perfect,
teaching.
perfect.
Yes, and
My
learning.
other, yeah, wonderful. My other question is, what was your favorite moment or experience in your own education?
Oh, in my own education.
Yes.
What a fantastic question. And there are thousands of them. So the one that immediately springs to mind is something that did not happen in the classroom. So obviously, as you and all of your viewers know, education can happen anywhere at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something that profoundly happened to me was when I was in Mongolia. So, as you probably know, outside of the city in Mongolia, it's a very traditional society. The people there are nomads
Mm-hmm.
or herders. They herd animals. So I had been living in a small town, like I said, for about a year. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned Mongolian, and I was trying to immerse myself in the culture as much as possible. And that's really the goal of Peace Corps volunteers, to practice intercultural communication, to get to know the culture and the society that they're living in,
Mm-hmm.
and really embed themselves in the life of that host country. So that was very important to me. So I remember during the summer, I was staying with a herding family. You know those round tents? Maybe you've seen pictures of them in Mongolia and Central Asia.
Uh-huh.
They live in traditional round felt tents.
Tense. Yeah.
You call
Yeah,
them,
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
yes, in Mongolian you call them a ger. And
Yeah.
I was living with a herding family in a
Mm-hmm.
ger, and I was learning how they live, and how they herd animals, how they herd sheep and goats, and how they produce all different kinds of milk products, which are actually very similar to Turkey. And so, anyway, I remember that one day the parents needed to go into town. So it was just me and the parents. So they told me, they said, "We're going into town for a couple of days. It's your job to watch the animals." And I was completely alone
Wow.
in the ger watching the animals. And it was such an unbelievable feeling because I felt I had finally fulfilled my goal of really acclimating myself and understanding the society where a herding family in Mongolia would trust me with their own
Wow.
animals. So I really felt like I was a Mongolian myself. So I don't know how good I was herding the animals. A lot of them, they would run away, and I'd have to run after them, and you throw pebbles in their direction to
I
get
see.
them to come back into the herd. So I wasn't the world's greatest herder. However, I would say that is one of the most profound educational experiences of my life because I felt I had really learned something, and when I really learned something, that people
Wonderful.
trusted me, and I felt I was part of the culture.
Yeah, it was a really, impressive moment, and it's very nice to hear this. I think your feelings, you're still in your mind, and I'm sure that
Definitely.
it's great. It's wonderful. And so, can I ask a question about that moment?
You can ask anything you would like.
Okay. So, how was the sorry, yeah, how was the reaction of the family when they returned back about your
That's a great question because when they returned back, I was not at the ger. I was actually herding the animals. And, like goats, they like to run up to the top of the hill, and they were kind of scattered around. So they found it kind of amusing. They knew I was not the world's greatest herder. But they were glad I was there, and I knew this family very, very well, and we always kind of teased each other, etc. So it was a fun moment. Let's put it that way.
wonderful? Are they still
Yes,
alive?
probably. I haven't spoken to them for some years, so having this conversation makes me think I should probably go back. I go back quite a bit. I haven't seen that family. My wife is Mongolian. So
Wow,
we do go back, but I have not seen that particular family. But yeah, they do come to mind from time to time.
I
Yeah,
see.
sure,
I
sure.
see. Great.
They're probably
Wonderful.
they're probably still out there.
I see. Great.
Yes.
Okay. And Roger, now I move to another the question. It's about
Whatever you like.
your. Can you tell us about your current institution? I mean, and like,
Mm.
and what kind of things you are doing there?
Mm. So I work for the State Department, the
Mm-hmm.
American Foreign Ministry, and in particular, I work at the United States Embassy.
Mm-hmm.
And the RELO, the Regional English Language Office, is part of the Public Affairs section. So
I
the
see.
Public Affairs section is responsible for something called public diplomacy.
I see.
So this section basically gets to have a lot of fun
Mm-hmm.
because all of us in the public affairs section do various cultural programs. We interact with the media. We, of course, do English language programming. That's my job. But
Mm-hmm.
our job is to reach the people of the host country. And the role of public diplomacy is to educate and inform about the United States. Hopefully, it's also to inspire and to create mutual understanding between the Turkish people and Turkish organizations and the United States. And one of the ways we do that is through English language. And I will
Language.
say that the English programs we do are so unbelievably popular in Turkey because, as you
Yeah,
know, so many
of
people
course.
want to learn English. And it is a really fantastic way to bring people across the world together. So we use English not just really to specifically do English programs, but we use English kind of as a bridge to bring together the cultures and
Mm-hmm.
peoples of Turkey and the United States and to learn from each other. And I absolutely love it. I've been here only 2 months, but it's been a great experience so far.
Wow, wonderful. Great.
How's that? I
Okay.
think that's an okay answer.
Yeah, yeah, great, wonderful. So my yeah, okay, it's okay. So it's not a problem. That's a great. So my other question about is actually I would like to ask you this for Turkey, but I'm gonna
Whatever.
going to change the type of the. What are the advantages and disadvantages of working as a relo?
Hmm. Well, another great question. You've really done your homework here. Okay, very nice.
Really?
Very yeah, I love your questions. These are
Okay.
great. These are great. The disadvantages. I really can't think of any disadvantages at
Yeah,
all.
of course.
Maybe the only disadvantage is, when you're in the United States Foreign Service, when you're a diplomat,
Uh-huh.
you learn the language and you get to know the people and you really get to know the culture. And so, you work with all different kinds of organizations and you form really tight bonds. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so after 3 years, you have to move. You go somewhere
Oh.
else. So maybe that's the only disadvantage. I would say there are so many advantages. One advantage, I would say, is I get to meet so many unbelievably talented people in the field of English teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in Turkey, not only do I get to meet super talented professors, I get to meet all different kinds of curriculum designers, I get to meet heads of NGOs,
Yes.
I get to meet so many amazingly talented students. I meet people from all different walks of life and society.
Wonderful.
And I get a bird's eye view of what is happening in terms of English language education
Mm-hmm.
across the spectrum in Turkey. And I get to do what I love, which is talk about English teaching and education all day, every day, and have a lot of fun doing it. Like I'm doing this right now. I mean, this is work. Connecting with people,
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
talking about the learning process. Advising people and organizations on how to do things better, how I can improve myself as an educator.
Definitely.
I know of no better job in the field of English language education, and I just get to meet so many amazing people. And I've been here in Turkey only 2 months, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
but already I've been blown away by the talent pool of people in Turkey, especially the ability of teachers and people working at universities and K through 12 schools, and people
Uh-huh.
like you who are doing such amazing creative work like Creative English 18.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, there's just so many fascinating people to meet in Turkey, and I think I've only started to scratch the surface. So I'm just extremely fortunate to be here and relate.
Wonderful. Wonderful, really. It's great to hear these things from you.
It's
Great.
true.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. And Roger, my other question is about actually these days it's really popular
Mm.
distant education and distant learning.
Mm.
So what is your opinion about distant learning?
That's another extremely deep question. Um, let's see. Distance learning, I suppose, is no different than regular learning if it's done well. So now, of course, the issue, and I don't need to tell you this, and I don't need to
Yeah.
tell your viewers this, is that suddenly we've been thrust into a situation where we all need to improve our distance learning skills pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I would say, of course, distance education, I don't think can replace face-to-face education. I think
Hmm.
we've all figured that out by now, and I think that's
Yeah.
fairly
Maybe.
obvious.
You're right.
However, we need to work with what we have available, and there are, of course, certain advantages to distance education, obviously, like you can reach more people at any time.
Hmm.
So I would say we are learning very quickly how to adapt, but
Hmm.
I would say the learning curve is very, very steep.
Yes.
So, you know, including me, like I had done distance learning courses before COVID, and of course, I'm not a working teacher now, but, you know, I do various things, you know, via distance, etc. So I've had to learn very, very quickly
Hmm.
about how to function in this environment. So I would say distance education is kind of like face-to-face education, only more so. And what do I mean by that? So as educators, you know, especially when we're teaching language, so, you know, in this generation, it's so digital that people's attention span is not very long, right? Everyone
Yes,
has
you're
their
right.
phone. They could be doing 1,000 other activities instead of listening to you, the teacher.
Hmm.
So we have to come up with all kinds of activities and methodologies to not only focus our students' attention, but also ensure that they actually learn something.
Hmm.
So, you know, doing that in the classroom when you're with, you know, 20 or 30 students, that's hard enough. Okay, so then how are you supposed to do that when
Yes.
you're just on a little 6-inch
Screen.
box and maybe they have a TV next to them or a cell phone or their little brother is poking them or something like that. So
Probably.
that's what I mean by distance education is the same as face-to-face education, only more so. So by that I mean we have to figure out and work much harder to
Hmm.
occupy our learners' attention. And how do we focus their attention through
Yes.
distance education? And I think some people are doing some outstanding work. I think there's
Hmm.
a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, again, frankly, we still have not completely mastered the environment yet. And I think in the next year or two, there are going to be some very exciting developments, new programs that emerge.
Probably.
And
Hmm.
people just come out with all kinds of creative ideas all the time, like what you're doing right now. So we will see. We will see.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
so, uh, how the situation with COVID-19 has
Mm.
changed in teaching, and what
Mm.
instruments can teachers use? What
What?
about this one?
Say that
What
again. What?
I mean, what instruments can teacher
Mm.
use?
Mm. That's another fantastic question. And so
Thanks.
I will say that to clarify what I was saying before, when we think of online teaching, and I'll use an American English expression here,
Mm-hmm.
I think too often we think of all the bells and whistles. Are you familiar with that expression? You know, it means all the different like features and
Uh-huh.
technology and like extra fun stuff that a computer brings us. However, I think that really only gets us so far. So I think what is obvious to me now that COVID has gone on for some time, and you know I've been online, etc., is how important professional development for a teacher really is. So, you know, again,
Mm-hmm.
this is obvious. and this, of course, has been a very hot topic in the field in face-to-face teaching,
Yeah.
over the last couple of decades. However, so again, when it's only you, the teacher, in like a little screen trying to reach students who are also in a little screen, you really need to work on your own professional development to figure out how you're going to focus those students' attention, because the bells and whistles, I think, will help you a little bit.
Yes.
But what's still the most important is the teacher's behavior.
Exactly.
So, as I have observed hundreds and hundreds of classes during my career. Like I said the other day, I may have observed even like 1,000 different teachers throughout my career, and what I realized, after I started observing so many years ago, and maybe to back up a little bit, and this will come into what I think about teaching during COVID. So I started observing teachers. And when you observe teachers, usually you have like a comment form and like a checklist of the different criteria, like, the teacher does, teaching reading, and the teacher corrects students' errors, excellent, good, fair, bad, or something like that. Or, the teacher manages the classroom effectively, something like this. So, after I started evaluating and observing maybe 30 or 40 teachers, I started kind of scratching my head. And because all the teachers that I observed, or almost all of them, there weren't any bad teachers. And for almost all of the teachers, almost everything I marked, in all the boxes,
Yes.
was either excellent or good. Like they taught skills, like they're teaching the 4 skills. Okay, excellent. Or like board work, excellent. Almost everything was excellent or good. However, at the end of, I would say, the vast majority of lessons, somehow all of the classes that I observed, they all seemed to kind of be missing something. And, that's why I was scratching my head. And, when I started, I didn't know exactly what to call it. I used an expression, that we use often in American English called the X factor.
X factor.
And by X factor, it means like an unknown quality.
I see.
So I kept scratching my head thinking everything that I marked was excellent, but the overall class itself, it just wasn't exciting, and maybe I thought the students really weren't quite learning, or it was just mediocre, and I didn't see that X factor. When you're teaching sometimes, and sometimes it happens and you prepare for it, and sometimes you don't prepare for it, but something really exciting starts to happen in the class, and when you feel that connection to your students. And you feel like a special energy. And you see that they're looking at you and they're absorbing what you say, and you're getting feedback from them, and you feel this exciting connection. That's kind of the X factor. And what I discovered was, after I started learning more about the field and got my master's degree, that this is something called classroom discourse. And over the last couple of decades, this has become kind of a subfield in the field of English language teaching. And this is the X factor that I did not see on all of those forms and evaluations, etc. And over the years, in observing, hundreds of different teachers and observing myself, I will also add, I would say that classroom discourse is the most important factor for any teacher. So a lot of times teachers ask me, what's the most important thing a teacher should do? Is it teaching grammar? Is it teaching vocabulary? Is it learning how to teach listening? And all of those are, of course, extremely important.
Yes.
However, what I would say is most important is understanding classroom discourse. So
Discourse. Oh,
what
wow.
exactly is classroom discourse? Classroom discourse is something that teachers don't often learn in their teacher education programs. So classroom discourse basically means, how are you talking to the students?
Students.
How are the students talking to you?
To you.
What questions are you asking? How are you asking questions? What type of opportunities are you giving students to answer? How are you setting up group work and pair work? All of these, so that conversation that you have with students and what type of input you give them and what opportunities you give them for output. This is classroom discourse, and this is, I think, the most important factor in English language teaching. And to tie it all together about how it relates to teaching in COVID-19, so when it's just you and a little screen,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you don't even have your body, you don't even have body language. So how you ask questions, what opportunities you give students to answer your questions, how you get students to talk to each other, how you encourage students to talk more, when exactly do you correct an error, when do you not do that. This, I would say, is the most important part of teaching in COVID. So to wrap it all up, you know, a lot of times we talk about how important you know, a learner-centered classroom is, right?
Yeah.
Student-centered. We've all heard this 1,000 times, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And of course, that's essential. However, what I think is really important for teachers is not just to think about student behavior, but to think
Mm-hmm.
about their own behavior. So how are they asked, think about yourself and how you're asking questions. How do you enable your students to speak more? How do you scaffold them? And I think almost everyone has heard of that term. How do you
Yeah.
scaffold them to enable them to speak more? And maybe I'll stop there because I'll just keep talking until
No, it's okay.
midnight.
And also there is someone says that like Nilgün says like, and how you regulate your behaviors to set a good rapport with students.
I would say that that is right on the money. That is 100% correct. So the last thing I'll say about that is, you know, I've talked to so many teachers, and I'm going to say this, and I know people watching,
Exactly.
and perhaps you will recognize this. Many teachers say to me, they go, "Oh, Roger, my students just don't speak. My students, their speaking level is so bad. How do I get them to speak? They just don't speak." And so then I go to their class and I discover that it's not necessarily the students, it's the teacher, because the
Mm-hmm.
teacher is not giving the students appropriate opportunities, and the teacher needs to enable students to speak. Like as a very fast example, I was a Turkish student last
I
year.
see.
So before I came to Turkey, I was at the Foreign Service Institute, you know, the school for diplomats. So
Uh-huh.
I learned Turkish, right? And I'm an adult, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm an adult. So I'm an
Oh,
adult.
yeah,
I know
definitely.
I'm a
You look
mature.
you look like an adult, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So I'm an adult. I'm a mature person. I know. I mean, I'm in the language teaching field. But still, sometimes when I was in class, like for example, one of my Turkish teachers would say, "Okay, Roger, it's your turn. Speak." And when the teacher said that to me,
It's
I
my turn.
froze. I felt so embarrassed because people are watching me. And even if someone asked me in English, if I was in a classroom and someone said, "Roger, what's your opinion?" It's a very daunting experience to try to speak and much less in a foreign language like that. So I'm saying that because let's think about how our younger learners, say if we're teaching a class of 15-year-olds, if we just call on them and say, hey, what's the answer? Or, okay, say something in English or this. Well, of course they can't speak because it's a very nerve-wracking, it's a very nervous experience to speak in a foreign language. So this gets to my point of how important classroom discourse is and how important that essential give and take and communication. And as one of your viewers so nicely wrote, the importance of rapport building with students. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And also, there was another question over here, like,
Yes.
Dr. Dolitze says, Dear Roger, do you manage to reduce TTT?
Well, I haven't been a practicing teacher for some years. So, geez, I've been an administrator for, maybe 10 years. And what I've discovered is, so, there's a lot of different frameworks. There's like PPP, and then there's TTT, and then there are a few others I'm forgetting right now. However, so again, when I was getting my teacher education, qualification, my master's degree, so I spent a lot of time, lesson planning and going through various frameworks like, the very old one, PPP, present, practice, perform.
Perform.
And, they're very useful for new teachers, I think. But what I discovered after being in a real classroom is that classrooms are very chaotic places, and I don't mean that in a negative way. So, we come to a class with a lesson plan, and there's PPP or TTT, and then we get into class, and then so a student says something, and then so something completely different happens. So I think it's very important to plan, of course, but it's also, so I think if we plan, then later we're able to throw out the plan when we need to, because, and again, like I was saying before, if you have good skills with classroom discourse, you can really manage student talk time and your own talk time a lot better. So, sometimes new teachers, when they're operating in a certain framework, they get into a real class, and then when you go off the tracks a little bit,
off the track,
they get a little bit confused. So, yeah, I think it's good to have a framework, but again, I think it's very important to practice your skills in classroom discourse, and this can help you get through any situation.
Wonderful. Thank you. I would like to give a clap about it for the perfect,
Oh,
wonderful answer.
For you, for asking all of these fantastic questions.
Well, really, it was great. Okay, and can I move another question?
You can ask me whatever you like.
Okay, thank you. As a relo, my other question is, as a relo, what kind of support do you provide for the teachers in this period?
Holy cow! I could talk about that for another several hours.
Really?
So
wow.
We offer so many fantastic programs for any kind of teacher throughout Turkey. And, if you and your viewers forget everything that I'm going to tell you, which is fine, I just want you all to remember one thing, because then you can find out anything on your own. So I want you to remember the website American English, one word, americanenglish.state.gov. I'll say it again.
Let me write.
americanenglish.state.gov. That's americanenglish.state.gov. There, I'll write it in are you writing it?
Yeah. Okay. americanenglish.state.gov.
Yes.
Yeah, here you go. Here it is.
Perfect. So, so on that, first of all, that website, if you are looking for any kind of activity, for any kind of skill, you can find it there. If you are looking for free leveled readers on PDF that you can download, you can find it there. If you are looking for board game templates, you can find it there. So this is the main website of the Office of English Language Programs of the State Department. So there are all kinds of resources for teachers, like I said. So basically and the great thing about this website is you don't have to spend a lot of time searching. Like say, for example, if a couple weeks from now you're going to teach a class on, speaking to 10th grade students, and you also want to add like present perfect in the lesson. So if you just did that on Google, you might spend hours trying to find something. But at americanenglish.state.gov, there is a search bar and different, boxes you can check. And then it will give you a list of these particular activities and lessons. So also, if you go there, you can find links. So on our Facebook page, which is American, was it American Educators? No, American English. It's something, geez, I can't believe I'm forgetting the exact Facebook page. It's on americanenglish.state.gov.
American English for teachers.
Or is it for educators? I think.
Educators, sorry.
Yes, I forgot the exact way it's spelled out on American English for Educators. So on this Facebook page, we do a webinar series. Yeah. And these are taught by American experts in the field. And if you want to, just do one, you can view one. If you want to participate and get a digital certificate, if you do 4 out of 6, you can get a digital certificate. If you don't want to watch them live, so these are on all different kinds of topics in the field of English teaching. We put them on our YouTube channel. But all of this you can find at americanenglish.state.gov. In terms of Turkey, so we do all different kinds of workshops and talks. So usually in the summer, we do something called Mecca, Making English Come Alive. And so we go to different parts of Turkey, and it's open. It's like an open teacher training workshop over the period of several days, where teachers learn how to do different activities. Maybe some of your viewers have participated. So we do Mecca. Right now during COVID, we do different types of online workshops. We have something called open courses. So these are also taught by experts in the field. Yes. And they're 8-week teacher training courses, and you participate with people from around the world. They're in cohorts of 25 teachers, and they're intensive, I would say, graduate level courses in subjects like using technology in English teaching, or teaching grammar communicatively, or teaching culture, something like this. So again, just go to americanenglish.state.gov. If you could also write the email of our office. So it's Relo Turkey, R-E-L-O, Turkey, Relo Turkey at state.gov. Relo Turkey at state.gov.
Yeah, state.gov, yes.
And so if you write, that's our email address, our office. So I'd be happy to correspond with anyone. So often teachers write and say, oh, we're doing a conference. What resources do you have? Do you have a speaker? We sponsor speakers at conferences as well. Across Turkey, if say an organization or a teacher's organization has an idea for a project, we do a number of different grants
Mm-hmm.
in all different fields and subfields of English teaching. So basically,
Yes.
we do all kinds of stuff for teachers. So again, just write us at reloturkey@state.gov or go to americanenglish.state.gov, and you'll find all kinds of information. You'll find information about
Wonderful
if
information over
students,
there.
like if you're, I think probably a lot of people's students ask about how to study in the United States.
Yes.
You'll find information about this at americanenglish.state.gov.
.com. And
Yes.
that's the American Educator series. They're really amazing. And I
Oh, you
attended
did?
of course, live series 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah,
Oh,
and
great, great.
now I'm waiting for the ninth one.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic, fantastic.
wonderful,
Yeah, so
wonderful
there,
series.
and
Wonderful.
you can communicate with people all over the world, and
Of
you know
course.
the experts that do it are really excellent.
Yeah,
So yeah, do those. I encourage those.
yeah, they're wonderful. Perfect. All right. And by the way, we are almost coming to end of our live session. Actually, I have
Oh,
lots of other questions.
you
I
made
have
it
lots
go
of
by so quickly.
Yeah, no, actually because of you. It's no the time
I don't.
flies away.
Well, you're a very good interviewer.
Oh,
You relax me.
okay, it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that, really, really. But listening to you is really it's great now.
Mm,
Everything you said were fantastic.
that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
And my other question is about the future of education. What do you think about the future of education?
God, that's another great question.
Thanks.
To clarify, do you mean the future of education or the future of English education?
If I say education, it's more general. Let's make it
Mm.
specific. English
Mm.
education. Let's make it English education.
Jeez, that is a God. That's a great question. I will start by saying
Thank you.
the field of education has improved exponentially in the last couple of decades. So it has improved so much. I think English teachers are no offense to other teachers like history and math teachers. You're all great. But I think English teachers are so active and they do so many active techniques and practices in their classes because they have to. They have to get their students to speak. So I think the field has developed unbelievably over the last couple decades.
Hmm.
I think one major development for the future of English education is the concept of world Englishes, so
Hmm.
that various countries, as the people there become more fluent in English, that they also take ownership of English. So English is not specifically just a language for, say, America or England or, say,
You're
New
right.
Zealand, but there are distinct forms of English, say Turkish English,
Uh-huh.
or as we can say, South African English,
English.
or even Mongolian English.
English.
So how teachers work within the framework, not just say teaching the target language as a target of another country, say for example, teaching British English or American English, but that they are also teaching and enabling their own form of English, like Turkish English. I would also say the concept of English as a lingua franca is
Yes.
becoming a huge feature of English teaching today and will be in the future. So, and by that I mean, English is the means of communication of the world.
Hmm.
So, learning English is almost not much. And I think in many places, it's not so much about learning a foreign language anymore. I think it's just like learning a basic skill. So, like, when students go to school, they learn math, right?
Yes,
Or
you're
they
right.
learn science. And if you do not have, I'm not saying people must speak English, but if you want to be an educated person, like an educated person knows the concepts of math,
Uh-huh.
or say they understand the concepts of science, they must understand the concepts of English, because English is very rapidly becoming the lingua franca of the world. And because
You're
now we don't necessarily have to travel anywhere to communicate with people. We can press a few buttons on Instagram and we're talking with anyone in the
yeah.
world. So
Yes,
I think
exactly.
those are some very big developments in the future of English teaching that we're seeing
Nice.
even today.
Yeah, I agree. Wonderful. Thank you. That's a great. Just like we are doing also now. We are.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is
Exactly.
the same that you mentioned. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, uh, let me look at the time. Okay, we are only 4 minutes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So,
Ask me one
uh,
more question.
actually, I will ask you one more question, and my question is, what is your motto?
God, these are great questions. Okay, here's
Thank.
here's my motto. Let me think about this a minute. Okay, I think I have my motto. Are you ready?
Yes, sure. I am.
Okay, because this motto I used as part of my master's thesis, which I don't have time to talk about. But the motto is this. It's from a book written by a Zen monk. You know, Zen Buddhism. It's
Mm-hmm.
written by a Zen monk, and his name is Shunryu Suzuki. And there's a very famous sentence in this book that became my motto. And here is my motto. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few.
Wow, it's a nice one.
I'm not even, I don't even want to explain that to people because I want people to think about it and absorb it and think about what
Yeah.
it means to them. I'll just repeat the motto. In the beginner's
Beginning
mind, there are many possibilities,
difficulty.
but in the expert's mind, there are few. And I will leave it at that.
Perfect. Okay. So okay, wonderful motto. I'll think about it. All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And as your last words, what would you
Mm.
say? What would you say to all our listeners and all the teachers all around the world?
Wow, that's also extremely profound. The last thing I will say is I was a teacher for many years, and teaching is an extremely hard job. It's hard to try and reach your students day in and day out, but always think of the unbelievable influence you have on your students. And even if they don't directly tell you, you're really becoming part of their lives and part of their conscience, and you create a lasting impression on your students for their entire lives. And by that, I would say us teachers are extremely lucky because not everyone has that opportunity.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you, Roger, and for your wonderful teacher talks session. And thanks a lot again for your time and for your experiences and for your suggestions, for your ideas, and especially for your motto that you
Oh
gave.
yes, yes, that's a good
And
one. And my last words, I would like to thank you for this fantastic idea. You're bringing, just in your own free time, you're bringing teachers together from around the world, and
thank you.
I
I'm
think it's a
trying.
great service that you're doing. And thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to the next teacher talks. I've
Yeah,
watched some of the previous ones, and I learned quite a bit from them. So keep
thank
up the
you.
good work. Keep up the
I'll
good
do
work.
that. And thank you very much one more time, and enjoy the rest of your night, and thank you, and thank you very much to the people who joined this session.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
bye-bye, and thank you.
Bye-bye.